Welcome. In this video, the event, Isomer, of Girls Frontline will be summarized. Throughout the video, there will be spoilers for the story of Girls Frontline. If you don't want to be spoiled, please go and play the game. Angie reflects on the sacrifices made by those who came before, questioning what convictions drove them to give up their futures. Despite their ultimate sacrifices, Angie wonders if they could have made the same choices knowing the current state of the world, a place where their legacies seem forgotten. As 12 updates Angie on the threats moving faster than expected, the conversation shifts to bureaucratic inefficiencies and the harsh realities of their mission. Angie gives orders to prepare for action, acknowledging that their choices and the sacrifices of others are separate from the decisions made by those in power. Later, Angie and M4 stand before a memorial, contemplating the meaning of sacrifice. While M4 remains steadfast in her belief that all actions are for the sake of future operations, Angie challenges this notion, suggesting that even the most well-intentioned efforts might be futile. As tensions rise between them, Angie points out how M4 has changed, becoming distant and unrecognizable. Yet, amid this somber reflection, Angie clings to the hope that survival might bring clarity to the meaning of sacrifice. Kay warns the commander to stay neutral while in the city, implying a delicate alliance. In a secret safe house, Kalina and RO discuss the aftermath of a cryptic meeting with Kay, who provided a briefcase containing information but demanded caution. Kay hints that their ally, Angie, is in Belgrade on a perilous mission, and that the commander must decide how to act. Kalina, frustrated by Kay's manipulative tactics, rallies the T-Dolls, while Kay reveals their next task, tracking and eliminating hidden enemies disguised within civilian populations. Kalina is amazed by the high-grade military equipment provided by Kay, allowing her to set up a command post with advanced communication systems. As Marlahi guides Kalina through the safe house, they discuss Kay's secrecy and precision, with Marlahi fiercely defending his methods. Later, Kalina updates the commander on the situation in Belgrade, revealing strange connections between the upcoming summit, state sex involvement, and the mysterious 6th Directorate. Suspicion grows about Kay's true role, with unanswered questions about Angie's mission and deleted information about her past. While the commander reflects on Kalina's findings and the upsetting implications of Rosardism's influence, they decide to focus on their immediate mission, despite lingering doubts about the bigger picture. After successfully eliminating the last of the enemies, Kalina reports to the commander, though they find no further clues about this white faction. Kay commends their efficiency, but Kalina demands more information about their mission. Kay admits that the mission was tied to securing an upcoming diplomatic summit, but insists their team was chosen for their ability to operate covertly, unlike traditional security forces. Suspicions of the disorganized nature of their enemies, the commander questions whether they are truly facing the white faction. Kay remains cryptic, however, suggesting the real threat may still be hidden and warning that some things are better left unknown. Kay urges the team to rest before their next mission. Lewis complains about the White Faction dolls being the most troublesome to handle despite their appealing appearance, while P-22 and X-95 point out the harsh realities of war and how dolls are used by humans to fight battles they avoid themselves. Their conversation delves into the senselessness of conflict and blind hatred that fuels wars, with P-22 cynically remarking on humans' use of dolls to bleed in their place. Upstairs, HS-2000 and KSVK reflect on the triviality of TV shows and an impending hazardous weather warning, with HS-2000 dreading the idea of going outside during the storm, while KSVK remains focused on their mission. On the third day of the extermination operation, Saab expresses frustration with the repetitive nature of their mission, while the commander discusses with Kay the successful identification and elimination of White Faction infiltrators. After confirming that the mission is nearly complete and that the city district is now safe, the commander reflects on the unexpected ease of their operation amidst the peaceful atmosphere in Belgrade. Suddenly, he spots a familiar girl in the crowd, raising suspicions about the true nature of the threat. Kay then informs the commander that the next task will reveal the reason for the collaboration with Griffin, leading to the revelation that their new assignment involves providing security for a client, which turns out to be someone beyond the ambassador. Gunfire echoes inside the Belgrade conference hall as the infiltration team stands ready outside. A renegade soldier confronts Chairwoman Ulrich, calling for her execution to symbolize their revolution. Just as the commander is about to act, Ambassador Roshchin shoots the soldier, leading to chaos as armed reporters reveal their true intentions and eliminate the remaining renegades. However, the situation worsens as Kay informs the commander that they are under attack from the White faction, with snipers targeting agents inside the hall. With traitors potentially among them, the commander must clear a path for evacuation to a reserve point while facing the reality that Paradeus has infiltrated the authorities. After nightfall in a dim alley, Star quietly conceals herself from surveillance cameras, the city lights filtering in as she remains alert. She doesn't turn when 94 approaches, warning her about the dangers of unexpected encounters. As they exchange supplies, 94 shares that she accessed the city's sewers thanks to 12, and the two have limited routes to avoid jamming signals from their enemies. While preparing for a long fight, they discuss the importance of their mission and their creator's expectations. 94 expresses her commitment to 12, whom she views as her purpose, leading to a conversation about loyalty, belief, and the essence of their existence. Star dismisses the notion of faith, asserting that their creators dictate their fates like gods, yet they both acknowledge their autonomy within those constraints. 3 hours later, under a unassuming manhole, 94 reports her arrival to Star, who's been keeping watch outside a military camp. 94 senses something amiss when a vehicle starts up nearby, prompting her to chase it without consulting Star or their commander, Angie. Despite the risk, Star is compelled to follow her. As they pursue the vehicle, Star informs Angie of the situation, realizing that 94's instincts may lead them to critical information about the node. Angie instructs them to wait for orders if they find it, but Star decides instead to catch up with 94. The Jeep halts outside ancient ruins as 94 observes a girl with black hair and clothes stepping out. She's the same girl who was feeding a cat earlier, sparking 94's suspicion about her identity as a Naito or a baptized from the White faction. Despite this, she emits no characteristic signals, leading 94 to wonder if she's just a normal human. As the girl turns to look in 94's direction, 94 hides behind a rock, fearing that she might have been spotted. A voice from behind startles her, revealing Star. They discuss the girl's potential as a threat, noting her earlier electronic attack on 94. Although 94 believes the girl is dangerous, she expresses frustration at being hacked, vowing that her attacker will regret underestimating her. As they eavesdrop on the girl, identified as Mercuros, and the officer, it becomes clear that they are at a military facility beneath a heritage site, housing the highly coveted Pike node. Mercuros displays unsettling charisma and manipulation, demonstrating her power by killing the officer. The dolls, hidden in the shadows, are drawn into a dangerous confrontation. 94 warns Star about the incoming signals, but Mercuro's swift tentacles nearly strike Star, with Mercuros taunting them to fight her. Angie and 12 assess the situation at the quarantine wall, noting that 5 points behind it are swarming with infected creatures, and the garrison troops haven't acted due to concerns over an upcoming international conference in Belgrade, which is now a contaminated zone with reduced military presence. The storm approaching could further agitate the infected, but Angie is more concerned about the White faction and their potential threat. As they observe a memorial plaque, Angie reflects on human forgetfulness and the fallen, emphasizing the importance of remembrance. Meanwhile, communications reveal a disturbance among the defenders, who are splitting into factions and engaging in combat. Angie orders 12 and M4 to assist in subduing the rebel forces, linking this chaos to the Pike node they need to destroy. M4 and 12 push deeper into the conflict zone, nearing human rebels. After clearing out lower sectors, M4 discovers an injured human officer, whom she decides to rescue despite 12's protests about complicating their mission. M4 provides basic first aid, and the officer, grateful yet concerned, urges her to join the front lines. M4 reassures him that her duty here is to help, emphasizing the need for cooperation to repel the rebels. Meanwhile, 12 detects unusual enemy movements, indicating a trap. When they break into the control room to stop the rebels, M4 is forced to kill a soldier trying to sabotage their efforts, which troubles her. As they uncover a dire situation involving explosives rigged to the wall, the rebel officer reveals his willingness to sacrifice himself and his comrades. Despite 12's warnings, the officer detonates the explosives, resulting in chaos as infected hordes flood into the city. Half an hour later, outside the conference hall, RO and the commander's team find themselves nearly surrounded by the infected, who are surging towards the city center. RO urges the commander to retreat to the cathedral, fearing that they will be overwhelmed. Just then, Kay's voice breaks through the comms, taunting them while reminding them of the stakes. If anything happens to the VIP, Griffin's existence is at risk. The commander learns that the agents have neutralized the enemy's artillery position, but it was a suicide mission. With no time to waste, he orders RO to prepare for action, despite the chaos surrounding them. As they ready themselves to move, Kalina informs the commander that Chairwoman Ulrich is regaining consciousness. The commander reassures Ulrich, who reveals her unexpected composure in the face of crisis. RO takes on the role of Ulrich's bodyguard, promising to protect her as they prepare to escape. Meanwhile, the Griffin entourage moves quickly through the streets, navigating barricades in the aftermath of destruction. RO encounters HS-2000, a part of the surveillance team who feels responsible for her fallen teammates. RO comforts her, acknowledging the bravery required to face such chaos. As they continue, they suddenly confront a mysterious girl named Nemogen, who reveals her intentions to kill the chairwoman. The ensuing chaos forces RO and her team into a hasty retreat as they fend off the relentless attacks from Nemogen and her Paradeus units. Desperate for support, RO relays the situation to the commander, who is also under attack. With explosions ringing in their ears, RO contemplates a risky diversion to buy time, hoping they can survive long enough for backup to arrive. Meanwhile, in a different part of the city, Angie confronts Kay about the state of their forces and the sudden ambush, suspecting deeper treachery at play but receiving no satisfactory answers. RO attempts to shoot at Nemogen, who easily dodges and retaliates by grabbing RO's ankles and throwing her down from a 2-story height. As RO struggles to get up, Nemogen taunts her, but their confrontation is interrupted by an explosion from a grenade thrown by Sop, who quickly joins the fight. The two engage in a tense exchange, with Nemogen attempting to intimidate Sop, who remains defiant. Amidst the chaos, RO manages to evade and report to her team that they rendezvoused with a rescue team, while Sop uses traps to slow down Nemogen. Eventually, Sop lands a powerful kick on Nemogen, allowing RO to escape with the chairwoman as artillery explosions shake the area. Inside the cathedral, the commander briefs the team on their dire situation, as they face relentless enemy attacks while trying to protect civilians and regroup. Chairwoman Ulrich expresses her determination to remain with the civilians despite the danger, revealing her hope to bridge divides and create a better world. In a tense communication, Angie informs Kay of a breach in the quarantine wall while emphasizing the need for intelligence on the Pike node, not just damage control. Kay clarifies that the commander is tasked with the Union chairwoman's safety, which raises Angie's skepticism about relying on an outsider. Meanwhile, in the cathedral, the commander and the dolls regroup amid devastation. Tech 9, uneasy about the presence of terrified children seeking refuge, tries to focus on the fight despite her emotional turmoil. Kalina manages to re-establish communication with Kay, who updates them on their new extraction plan that prioritizes the chairwoman. The commander insists on also ensuring the civilian safety, rejecting Kay's directive to abandon them. A convoy is promised in 5 minutes. 94 and Star find themselves overwhelmed by an endless wave of enemies. 94 calculates their chances of victory to be nearly non-existent, and though they're partners, Star refuses to abandon her, insisting they fight together. 94, however, recognizes the danger posed by a powerful adversary adept in electronic warfare. She encourages Star to escape while she provides cover, stating that her survival is paramount since she can create backups, unlike Star. Despite 94's logical reasoning, Star feels compelled to risk her safety for her partner, as they face an overwhelming horde. But Star is eventually convinced and escapes through an alley while 94 prepares to engage enemies. As 94 struggles against these enemies, she receives unexpected support from Star, who detonates explosives to create a path to safety. They navigate through a hidden passage, with Star insisting that they can always find more explosives, while 94 grapples with her worth as a tool compared to Star's irreplaceability. When they reach a door that seemingly leads to safety, it suddenly slams shut, revealing the enigmatic Mercuros. She praises their journey and prepares them for battle. As Star runs low on ammunition, they strategize their next move, with Mercuros beginning to taunt them again, increasing the tension in the theater. Just as things seem hopeless, the duo gets unexpected assistance from the SFT dolls led by a corrupted M16, who engage the White faction, allowing Star to establish a secure connection with Angie. She informs her of their precarious situation and the involvement of Mercuros, revealing the stakes have escalated dangerously high. Mercuros unexpectedly retreats, leaving Star and 94 facing M16 and the SF dolls. M16 demands their surrender, asserting her dominance and authority over the battlefield. Star, acknowledging their dwindling chances of survival, agrees to comply, but they are cornered into revealing the whereabouts of the Pike Node and the mysterious Mercuros. The area around the quarantine wall has descended into chaos, with civilians screaming for help and garrison soldiers urging them to evacuate to safety. Garrison units report that rebel forces have breached the wall, forcing them into combat and leaving them desperate for reinforcements. Angie and her team realize they cannot manage alone against the Elids and decide to collaborate with the local garrison troops. Lieutenant Dragovic, the acting commander, reports the dire situation. Inexperienced troops are panicking as Elids infiltrate and communications with HQ have been severed. Despite the odds, Dragovic insists on holding their ground to buy time for their citizens, recognizing the importance of their struggle even in the face of overwhelming danger. As a second explosion rocks the quarantine wall, Angie urges a tactical retreat, prioritizing their survival and the mission over the soldiers' heroic intentions. The garrison troops' defense line eventually begins to collapse under the relentless waves of Elids. The garrison troops frantically request ammo and support, but hope fades as their gunfire dwindles, punctuated by the haunting silence of fallen comrades. Amidst the chaos, M4 urges soldiers to retreat, but they refuse, clinging to their duty and honor despite the overwhelming odds. As she grapples with the futility of their sacrifice, M4 resolves to help, but her neural cloud warns her of the danger in her self-sacrifice. In a moment of despair, she witnesses the devastation of her surroundings, radiation-sick civilians, and abandoned vehicles, prompting her to question the value of her power and purpose. After a heartfelt exchange with a soldier, she reluctantly accepts the harsh reality of her mission. Acknowledging her inadequacy, she also resolves to gather her strength and fulfill her orders. A truck speeds towards the cathedral, alarming everyone present who brace for a self-destruct. However, it halts abruptly, and Marlahi emerges, revealing that these Warren vehicles are their only chance to evacuate the VIP. Kalina expresses her disbelief at the lack of armor, questioning how they can protect refugees. Kay suggests taking a small elite team to escort the chairwoman to an extraction point, leaving the rest to defend the civilians. Aro supports this plan, arguing that drawing the enemy's fire away from the remaining teams might improve their chances. Marlahi joins the mission as a guide, and Aro outlines the route through a relatively safer sector. 5 minutes into their journey, Aro apologizes to the chairwoman Ulrich for their risks, but she insists on trying for the civilians' sake. Suddenly, they are ambushed by pursuing enemies, leading to a crash that leaves them trapped. As RO and Sop prepare to defend the chairwoman, the situation worsens as enemies close in. After dispatching a few attackers, Sop is startled to discover that the Naito, Nemogen, is still alive. A smoke grenade is launched into their vehicle, allowing Nemogen to kidnap the chairwoman. Meanwhile, Zelensky in his office receives a threatening call from a mysterious man who holds the chairwoman hostage, demanding access to a secret base in exchange for her life. Zelensky, now caught between duty and pressure, knows he must act quickly. 12 and M4 navigate the desolate streets of a now quarantined Belgrade, keeping a vigilant watch on each other's backs. As they advance, 12 warns of Elids ahead, deciding to engage rather than circumvent them due to their urgency. Their suppressors mask the sound of gunfire, only the clang of shell casings resonates through the storm. Upon crossing a main street littered with corpses, the pair reflects on their partnership, with 12 admitting her initial doubts about M4's combat abilities. Their conversation is interrupted by communication from Angie, who expresses concern about the lack of contact with 94 and Star. Despite their worries, 12 reassures M4, suggesting that they scout the Opera House before making their next move. Meanwhile, below the city, Star and 94 receive alerts of enemy red signals but press on, navigating the underground tunnels. Their tense encounter with SF forces reveals the precarious nature of their mission, with M16 employing them as reluctant guides to reach the Pike Node, suggesting a fragile alliance. As they push deeper into the chaos, Star's impulsiveness contrasts with 94's caution. Back at the Opera House, M4 and 12 finally arrive, only to be ambushed by SF ringleaders Executioner and Hunter. M4 discovers a hidden passage leading to their comrades, while 12 cleverly uses a pre-rigged bomb to level the playing field. As M4 rushes ahead, 12 confronts Hunter. Underneath Belgrade, the situation intensifies as enemy forces relentlessly assault Beak and her squad, with SF units falling around her despite her bravado. Suppressed and outnumbered, she dismisses their tactics, believing that sheer numbers will only serve to waste ammunition. Just as the tide seems against her, 94 and Star appear, clearing a path through the enemy ranks. Beak is surprised to see Griffin units repay a past debt, though she questions their choice of a path filled with enemies, which Star rationalizes as a sign of something significant being guarded. Before she can process their intentions, Beak is struck from behind and loses consciousness, only to waken alone, realizing she's been betrayed and the two hostage dolls have escaped through a trap door. As M4 approaches the gunfire ahead, she decides to bypass the conflict until a familiar voice calls for her attention. She reunites with Star and 94, who are dealing with injuries, and learns about the overwhelming forces led by M16 and the Nitos. M4 shares her plan to hack into the Nitos by destroying their blocking devices, igniting a spark of hope amidst the chaos. As they strategize, they witness a frantic Naito free from control, and the Sangvis troops retaliate as the White faction falls into disorder. M4 confronts M16, who reveals her awareness of M4's newfound powers and the dangers they bring. During their conversation, Beak crashes through the scene on a motorbike, escaping with a truck as M4 and Star pursue. It turns out that the SF units have snatched the Pike Node, and M4 contacts 12, who reports that the enemy has crashed through the doors and offer coordinates for motorbikes to pursue them. Meanwhile, at the River Delta extraction point, the Griffin team that is extracting Chairwoman Ulrich to safety is informed by Kalina that the civilians have been evacuated and Paradia's forces have unexpectedly halted their attack. RO also learns that the new orders from K require their return to Belgrade to support M16 and SF. In the streets of Belgrade, M16 and Beak discuss their withdrawal while encountering Griffin troops, leading to a tense standoff with M4, who demands answers about M16's alliance to SF. As their confrontation escalates, 94 intervenes and Judge provides cover for M16 and Beak to escape. Meanwhile, the commander confirms their blockade on SF's escape route and reveals to Sop that despite M16's transformation, they would not eliminate her without understanding the full truth. As M4 and her team close in on M16 and Beak, M16 orders Beak to unleash their full arsenal against the Griffins. As M4 dodges missiles, a bullet diverts one, causing it to explode behind her, and she presses on, determined to catch M16. Meanwhile, at the barricade, Sop expresses her concern about M16's safety, but is then reassured by the commander that they intend to help retrieve her. Just then, M16 and Beak encounter the Griffin blockade led by Aro and Sop, resulting in a grenade explosion that sends them flying. M4 regroups with her allies, cornering M16, who's approached by a mysterious voice offering her a deal involving the Pike node. As the pressure mounts, M16 weighs her options and connects her cable to the core, enduring agonizing pain as she extracts vital data, which she offers in exchange for a retreat, despite the core now being useless. The Griffin dolls face overwhelming interference, and M4 learns that her comrades are unable to move due to a powerful disruption. As the chaos subsides, M4 reunites again with Star and Sop, revealing their emotional relief at seeing each other again. M4 reflects on her desire for greater power to protect her friends, while, in a different location, M16 completes her data transfer to Agent, seeking an audience with the Mastermind, but is told to wait as the organization rebuilds. Despite doubts about M16's loyalty, Agent acknowledges her strength and connection to M4 as essential to achieving their objectives. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter and Blue Sky for updates, and please check out my other Arknights and Azure Lane videos as well.